Welcome everyone to this special council meeting tonight on November 8th, 2023. And we welcome those that are participating from home and those that are joining us in the gallery here tonight. We will ask that you make sure your cell phones are off or on mute. And we'll ask everyone now to rise for O Canada, please. Thank you, everyone. Again, welcome, and please ensure your cell phones are off or on mute, and we'll begin our meeting with the land acknowledgement. And as we gather, we are reminded that the municipality of South Huron is situated on Treaty 29 land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people today. As a community, we have a responsibility to honor and respect this territory's significance for the Indigenous peoples who lived and continue to live upon it, and whose practices and spiritualities were tied to the land and continue to develop in relationship to the territory and its other inhabitants today. In the spirit of reconciliation and truth, we acknowledge the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee peoples on whose traditional territory we are meeting. Thank you for that. We move to item number 2. Ms. Madam Clerk. Just please read that recommendation, please.
That South Huron Council approves the agenda as presented.
And the mover, please, Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Vaughn. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? And that carries with 6. Thank you. Moving right along to disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof from members of council. Are there any disclosures at this time? Not seeing any. Thank you. And then we turn this meeting over to the clerk. Madam Clerk. Yes. And the purpose of this meeting is to appoint an individual to fill the office vacancy of councillor for Ward 2, the remainder of the 2022-2026 council term in accordance with the Municipal Act. The order of proceedings for this meeting will follow the process outlined in the clerk's procedure to fill council vacancy and meeting agenda.
Council declared the Ward 2 councillor seat vacant at their September 18th council meeting. At their October 2nd, 2023 council meeting, council received a staff report providing options available for filling the seat vacancy, which included a copy of the clerk's procedure to fill the vacancy. At that meeting, council passed resolution 390-2023 to proceed with filling the vacancy through call for nominees. Notice of vacancy was published in the Exeter Lakeshore Times Advance, as well as published on the municipal website, southhuron.ca, and circulated on municipal social media accounts. The notice of vacancy outlined requirements for nominee consideration, including the deadline to apply by 2 p.m. on Friday, October 27, 2023. The clerk's procedure to fill the council vacancy was available on the municipal website and mentioned to each candidate as they submitted their applications.
Thank you. Can you please read the recommendation for council consideration?
So just as outlined in the clerk's procedure to fill council vacancy, any individual wishing to be considered for an appointment to fill the council vacancy had to complete and sign the nomination form and declaration of qualification form and submit them to the clerk by 2 p.m. on October 27th, 2023. Candidates were provided the option to submit a personal statement of qualification for consideration of council. Copies of the candidates' personal statements of qualification are attached to the agenda for consideration of council. As outlined in the clerk's procedure to fill council vacancy, a certified list of all candidates listed in alphabetical order by last name has been included in the agenda package. Further, I am providing to the chair a list of the names of individuals who indicated in their in writing their interest of being appointed to the vacancy.
Thank you.
So the recommendation would be that the following individuals be considered for appointment to fill the vacancy of councillor for office of Ward 2, Maureen Cole, Wayne DeLuca, Jerry Dale Elmquist, Diane Faubert, and Wendy McLeod Haggett. Can I get a mover? Councillor Neeb and seconder, Councillor Oak. All in favor? That carries with 6. As outlined in Schedule 1, Section B10 sub C of Clerk's procedure to fill council vacancy, candidates will be sequestered in an adjacent room until it is their time to answer the questions posed by council. This is so there are no advantages provided to candidates in responding to council's questions and to confirm the candidates are not accessing the live stream of the meeting. It was not a requirement for candidates to attend the meeting to be considered by council for the appointment. Candidates will be called into council chambers one at a time and afforded the opportunity to address council for a period of not more than 5 minutes. The order of speaking will be determined by alphabetical order by last name. Each member of council will be permitted 2 questions to ask each candidate, and responses from the candidates shall be limited to a maximum of 2 minutes per question. I would ask the candidates please follow staff into the Verity room. Next item on the agenda is the candidates' oral statements and council questions. Candidate Maureen Cole has advised she is unable to attend this meeting. Her personal statement of qualification is included in the agenda package, and her name is included on the ballot for council consideration. Candidate Wayne DeLuca is in attendance. His personal statement of qualification is included in the agenda package, and his name is included on the ballot for council consideration. Candidate DeLuca, you will be provided 5 minutes to address council with an oral statement. You will be notified when you are at the 4-minute mark. Following your oral statement, each council member is provided the opportunity to ask you 2 questions. You will be provided 2 minutes to respond to each question, and you will be notified when you have 30 seconds left to conclude your response to each question. Your time begins now.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to appear this evening, and thank you for getting me out of my house on this blustery November evening. My volunteerism with the Stratford Festival allows me to entertain many training workshops and seminars. And as I prepared for this evening, one particular training session came to mind. A director was presenting and participants were praising him for his successful play and the public rave reviews. He stopped everyone midstream and pointed out his team. Here's my team: sound and lighting personnel, musicians, choreographer, costume and prop makers. The success on the stage is only due to this team. Working together, he said, is not easy. We challenge each other, we debate, we argue, but in the end, it all comes down to compromise, which leads to success on the stage. I feel council should be no different. We debate, we challenge each other, we discuss different points of view, but once the vote is taken, we support and respect the decision made by the majority of council and move on. And importantly, that support must carry on into the community, no different than the director that leads his team on the stage in front of the public. I believe I have the experience to fill this role and work with the council team to the completion of this term. Success will only revolve around compromise. Now, I do not come here this evening and ask you to consider me to be the CAO or the clerk or any other staff member. I come to work with them and all members of council for one thing: the well-being of the whole community, South Huron. The role of the councillor is spelled out specifically in the Municipal Act. You basically have three roles. You're a representative, a policymaker, and a steward. We make decisions that could be complex and controversial, many of which could impact the municipality beyond a 4-year term of office. During my political life, I have always tried to act as a conduit, a pipeline between the residents I represent, the council of the day, and the municipal staff. I feel when making a mid-term appointment to council, it is imperative to appoint someone with municipal governance experience who is able to step in and make contributions immediately. We all know that AMO have a full-day training session for new council members immediately following the municipal elections, and again in August at the annual conference. There are no AMO training sessions midterm for inexperienced individuals.
Kennedy DeLuca, you have 1 minute.
I am a 20-year resident of South Huron, living in Ward 2 in the heart of Exeter. I have worked with the business community, the youth, the seniors during my 8 years serving the South Huron Council. I have documented experience in the municipal field to allow me to immediately step in and complete the term of Councillor Denemy. I will work with you as a team on issues that impact the residents of South Huron. No one person is or should be above the council as a whole. I ask for your support this evening to allow me the opportunity to work and succeed with you on a common goal. The common goal everyone should have when sitting in this chamber, the betterment of South Huron and its people. I thank you for listening.
Your
this
time is
evening
up.
And appreciate your support. How'd I do? Close? Good. Thank you.
Are there any questions from members of council for candidate DeLuca at this time? Councillor Vaughn?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Yes, Mr. DeLuca, can you describe for us what preparation you have done for this term's position of councillor?
Okay, thank you for the question. I have tried to stay on top of the council meetings. Okay, I have reread the Municipal Act, which I have a copy here, so I'm sure, and I see that it has changed to include the strong mayor policy. I've spoken with the public. The public has spoken with me. It used to be you went to the barbershop to get all of the gossip that was going around, but now you go and play pickleball and you get more gossip there. So if you want to know what's happening in the community and to get a real feel for the community, it's talking to the people. And I have watched some of your budget deliberations and I read some of the documentation. I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Councillor Dietrich?
Got her. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Wayne, I think you'd make a good politician. You've kind of covered a lot of stuff there, so I'm happy with your report.
Thank you for that comment, sir.
Councillor Neeb?
Attendance at meetings and contributions during meetings are incredibly important in order to both represent our constituents and represent our municipality. As a councillor, much of your time will be spent reading reports, speaking with constituents, and keeping track of provincial legislation, which dictates how the municipality is run. Are you able to commit to multiple meetings, regular reading of reports, and collaborating with other members of council and staff in order to move the municipality forward, and how so?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Neeb. I have 2 minutes. I'll make it very quick. Absolutely. I will come here and give this council chamber 100%. I have a lot of gas left in my tank. If you're into electric vehicles, my batteries are fully charged and I am ready to go. Thank you for the question.
Councillor Oak?
Thank you. Thanks, Wayne, for your opening remarks. I'm the finance guy around the table here, so I have to start this way. What 3 steps would you take to put our municipality on a firmer financial footing, knowing that there are significant asset management commitments that need to be made?
Okay. The first thing is we have to address and prioritize the asset management plan. You're not going to get it all done at once. Some folks think you can make a plan and implement it and it's done and away you go. It just doesn't work that way. It's all about what I talked about, compromise. We compromise around the table, and part of that asset management plan is compromising and then coming up with the council of the day feels is the #1 thing that we should be looking at. And hopefully that would be based on as much possible input that we could get from the community, because I think that's very important. We have the plan. We have the people here that want to get it done. But it's the matter of prioritizing it, and it's no different than putting a budget together. You put a bunch of items into your budget, and then as you work through that budget, I've never worked through a budget yet where people have not gone in and picked things out and moved things around. It's prioritizing everything, and that prioritizing and compromise is the key. I hope that answers your question, Councillor.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Dietrich.
Wayne, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
I guess my question is, do you have any of your own priorities moving forward?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I would like to finish the projects that have started. Like we've started the rec center. I'd like to see where we're going to move next on that. Because that to me and to a lot of people is a priority in town. We talked initially about phase 2, and I don't know exactly where that is now. I understand. I know that there's always a financial end of everything. It's just not simple say, let's build it. Well, it doesn't happen that way. You have to have resources, you have to have the finances to be able to move ahead. But from what I've heard from the folks out there, they would really like to see that phase 2 completed with a walking track. And keep in mind, that walking track is not only for young people. I've used the walking track in Stratford. We have nothing here to offer folks that have had a surgery that require movement. The doctor says, go out and move. We have nothing in the wintertime for young mothers to take their child in a stroller and do a nice walk. And if you go to Stratford, where I've been, I've seen young mothers during the day with their strollers, pushing their young babies around. They're getting exercise.
You have 30 seconds.
Done. They're putting the baby to sleep. So I could say more, but I can't. Thank you.
Mayor Finch.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome, Wayne.
Thank you.
The South Huron Fire Master Plan identifies the Dashwood Fire Station as no longer suitable for use as a fire station, as now outdated, and that a new fire hall is recommended to be built in Dashwood to replace the outdated one. What is your position on a new fire hall, since the recommendation is that the new hall should be in Dashwood rather than Crediton or elsewhere? Would you support it to be built in Dashwood as recommended by the Fire Master Plan? Please explain.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor. Yes, short answer. When I was in this chamber previously, we had asked for a study to be done because we knew that the Dashwood Fire Hall was not going to be able to last much longer. The doors were too low, they're too narrow, they couldn't fit the trucks inside. It was not good for the firemen to come there to have to change. So it was just all around not a good structure. And that's why we initially asked for that independent study. And that was the key to it, because we all sat around here and everyone had a different idea. And I know one of the counselors, I think that's sitting over here and over here, suggested that we should go ahead and get a master plan done by a professional that knows exactly what the community looks like, the needs, and also just as important is the range of areas where that hall would have to serve. And the first study we had done, that was something that came out. And so if it came out that Dashwood, through that independent professional study, then I would support that. Thank you.
Are there any other questions from members of council? Councillor Neeb.
In 2018, the Fred Dean report was released to the public, listing recommendations mandating, quote, code of conduct training, bully and harassment training for members, and, quote, that closed meetings for the purpose of attacks on other members be eliminated, The Municipal Act is clear about the relationship between council members and staff. Could you please summarize how these relationships work?
Respect. Respect not only for the individuals, but respect for the decisions that have been made by the members of council. And I think Mr. Dean pointed that out somewhere in that study, that a lot of the issues that kept coming to the surface were because there was a complete lack of respect for the decision-making process that was made, voted on, and carried into the public by the head of council. But it was not adhered to. Okay. And as I said earlier, Councillor Neeb, you come here, you debate and you argue. And I've been in this for almost 30 years. I've lost a ton of votes. Okay. My hand goes up a lot of times. I don't win the vote, but you move on. That's what this is all about. There will always be another challenge. Always another challenge. You have to be able to sit in this position and you have to be able to pivot from one challenge to another and not just put blinders on and say, I will not look at anything else because you didn't support my motion. Okay. And that's the crux of the Fred Dean report.
You have 30
Lack of respect.
seconds. Any other, Councillor Oak?
Yes, explain your understanding of the role of a council member in promoting economic development.
Okay, we had a committee of council was studying economic development. I had the opportunity to chair that for a while. Councillor Vaughn was on that committee with me, and I think she took over the chair of the committee. But I think it's important that the members of council do get involved in that, because you're bringing the voice of the people back to these chambers. And there are a lot of folks out there that they don't want to serve officially on a committee. They don't have the time, or they just prefer not to, but they want to provide you input. And so it's important that we go out there and we glean that input from these people. And whether it is a committee of council or whether it's staff, and that would be up to council to make that decision. If council decides they want staff to do it by themselves, that's the way it is. That's council's decision. I've always liked the fact that council members were involved in the committee.
Mayor Finch?
Yeah, thank you, Alex. So my question is, Wayne, Bill 23 has changed things in municipal government, as you are aware. Can you explain to the residents of South Huron what you would do if faced with either a conflict of interest or a pecuniary interest under Section 3 of the Code of Conduct, such as in relation to a pending or ongoing housing or commercial development that would impact your residents or you personally, and provide details how you would deal with something like this, both in your interaction with the members of the council, the media, including social media, and with members of the public?
Okay, could I just say something? I'm sorry, George. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, but you were speaking so quickly that it was hard for me to get all of the data that you were presenting. So if you could slow down a bit, I would really appreciate it.
So my question is, Bill 23 has changed things in municipal government. So can you explain to the residents of South Huron what you would do if faced with either a conflict of interest or a pecuniary interest under Section 3 of the Code of Conduct, such as in relation to a pending or ongoing housing or commercial development that would impact your residents or you personally, and provide details how you would deal with something like this, both in interaction with members of the council, the media, including social media, and with members of the public?
Okay, thank you for the repeat. I know the Conflict of Interest Act. I've dealt with the Conflict of Interest Act for over 30 years. When I was a trustee on the school board, I dealt with that. The pecuniary interest, I'm well aware of that. My decision-making would be based on professionalism, following the code of conduct of council, and addressing any pecuniary interest that I feel I may have or could have. And I've always abided by the philosophy, if in doubt, get out. If in doubt, get out. And no one could think less of any counselor because he or she declares a conflict, because that's the law. You follow the law. And when we come here and when we take our oath of office, that comes to play. It's in there. Okay. You got to follow the law, follow the rules. And if you are challenged, then you are up to pay for your own legal fees. If someone should challenge you, the municipality does not cover any counselor that gets charged
You
with
have
a
30
conflict
seconds.
of interest. Thank you.
Are there any other questions from members of council? Not seeing any. Thank you, candidate DeLuca. You may take a seat.
Thank you very much for your time tonight. Sorry. Thank you.
Candidate Jerry Dale Elmquist is in attendance. His personal statement of qualification is included in the agenda package, and his name is included on the ballot for council consideration. Candidate Elmquist, you will be provided 5 minutes to address council with an oral statement. You will be notified when you are at the 4-minute mark. Following your oral statement, each council member is provided the opportunity to ask you 2 questions. You will be provided 2 minutes to respond to each question, and you will be notified when you have 30 seconds left to conclude your response to each question. Your time begins now.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor Finch, Deputy Mayor Dietrich, council members and staff. I know that I've been allocated the 5 minutes for this presentation, but not being a true politician yet, I should not need that amount of time. I've been a resident of Ward 2 for the past 10 years, and you've had a chance to read my documents that were submitted for consideration for this appointment. As you've seen, I have a long history of management positions, starting being an accountant through various corporate accounting positions to corporate operations management, sales and general management, and finally as president of my own company. And as you've also seen, I've held a number of volunteer positions and continue to do some volunteer work. I feel that these positions have provided me with the tools needed to complete the tasks of the Ward 2 councillor. I come here in front of you with no preconceived ideas or notions or any hidden agendas. What you see is who I am. I'm a quick study. I enjoy challenges. I enjoy research. I enjoy working with people to attain the required goals. And I'm certain that I would enjoy assisting the council in making the right decisions for the municipality that we represent. I know the municipality is facing some challenging decisions, some of which are the homeless issue, and I do not know if anyone has the perfect solution to this particular issue. I know that I do not. Future planning is going to become even more important than what it is today, with heritage sites being involved, trying to ensure the availability of affordable housing, looking at existing traffic issues and patterns, and attaining the best possible use of all available lands. The municipality has had to make some serious decisions regarding ensuring the safety of its volunteer firefighters with the closure of the Huron Park Station, the requirement for a new station at Dashwood, plus the addition of new equipment. This issue carries a lot of residual consequences, as it is very important to provide the firefighters with a safe environment to work in and to train in. Good facilities and good reliable equipment make it much easier to convince new recruits to enlist, and also makes it easier to retain the services of the very highly trained existing personnel. We have a small and vibrant hospital and medical center here in Exeter that is under tremendous strain due to being overcrowded, understaffed, too small, and outdated. But we are not the only community suffering from this problem, and therefore it is very competitive to get and retain qualified staff. It's becoming very important that we provide the medical community with the best opportunity to hire new staff, and as importantly, to retain the qualified staff that we have. I know that Parks and Rec are dealing with trying to keep our citizens as comfortable as possible with the newly remodeled rec center and other existing facilities, and making future expansion as user-friendly as possible. Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan is an initiative that's going to see a lot of activity, as mental well-being and addiction have become very important issues in today's society. There's also the effects of housing stability and homelessness, and these are coupled with the effects of domestic and family abuse. All of these issues play an important part when we start to look at the overall effect of community security. These are some of the many issues that the municipality is dealing with and continue to deal with over time. I look forward to being part of the solution to some of these solutions. As I stated earlier,
You have 1 minute.
Position. I hope I can bring some new thoughts and ideas to the solutions that we all are looking for. I believe my past experience has provided me with some of the tools necessary to provide significant input and valid suggestions for solving the issues currently facing the municipality. I thank you for your time. I look forward to your support and your vote. Thank you.
Are there any questions from members of council for Kenneth Elmquist at this time? Councillor Vaughn?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, my question is, can you describe for us what preparation you have done for this term's position of council?
Well, being new to politics in general, I spent a fair amount of time reviewing agendas, reviewing the past minutes, looking at the various issues that are facing the community today, to try to get just a feel as to what we're looking for and what kind of solutions we're going to need in the future.
Thank you for that.
Councillor Oak?
Thank you. Thanks, Jerry, for your opening remarks. What 3 steps would you take to put our municipality on a firmer financial footing, knowing there's significant asset management commitments that need to be made?
That is a very difficult question for me to ask, because I'm not familiar enough with the financial condition of the municipality as it stands today. It would take a fair amount of analysis to come up with those 3 steps. And to try to give you an idea as to what I have now would be almost invalid.
Thank you.
Counselor Need?
Attendance at meetings and contributions during meetings are incredibly important in order to both represent our constituents and represent our municipality. As a councillor, much of your time will be spent reading reports, speaking with constituents, and keeping track of provincial legislation, which dictates how the municipality is run. Are you able to commit to multiple meetings, regular reading of reports, and collaborating with other members of council and staff in order to move the municipality forward, and how so?
Yes, I am, because I'm kind of like semi-retired. I still have my own business, but it takes very little time for that. I have one other little job that I do, and that's delivering medications for Huron Apothecary. So I have a lot of time on my hands that could be used for doing the necessary research and reading that's required to make those commitments.
Mayor Finch?
Thank you. Mr. Elmquist, I see in your personal statement of qualifications, a list of various job titles you have held. I believe the public would like to know two things related to these positions. One, what was your longest term you held any one of these positions? And two, did you ever quit midterm for any reason?
The longest term I had was 10 years. And I only quit one position. All of the other positions that I held, well, that's not really true. I quit two positions and I was fired from one. And that was a really unfortunate situation. But as I progressed through those stages, I was always progressing upward. I never had to leave a position for a lesser position.
Counselor Dietrich?
Welcome, Jerry.
Thank you very much.
I have a question. How would you, or what would you do to improve the quality of life in the west end of the municipality?
In the West End. I'm not exactly sure where you're going with that question.
Counselor Dietrich, sir, your microphone.
There's people in the Grand Bend area, the west end on the lake shore, that don't always get represented as maybe as good as they may have or should be or think they should be. I just wondered what your feeling was on that.
Well, number one, the ward that I represent is Ward 2, which I don't think includes that part of the municipality. But once certain issues have been identified, I mean, it's up to the council as a whole or the municipality as a whole to look at those issues, address those issues, and try to find the resolutions for them. And again, that's a team effort where if everybody's working together and we see those and we address them and we identify them, then it makes it a lot easier to do something about them.
Thank you.
Counselor Need?
In 2018, the Fred Dean report was released to the public listing recommendations mandating, quote, code of conduct training, bullying and harassment training for members, and, quote, that closed meetings for the purpose of attacks on other members be eliminated. The Municipal Act is clear about the relationship between council members and staff. And could you please summarize how these relationships work?
Council is the governing body versus the operational body of a municipality. And I think it's very important that council and the staff work together. Animosity among staff members or animosity among council members should not be allowed in any way, shape, or form. And if any one of us start to see that developing, I think it's time for us to sit down, identify that situation and take, get it taken care of as quickly as possible.
Deputy Mayor Dietrich?
Thank you and welcome, Jerry. My question is, South Huron has 3 wards, and you mentioned it a minute ago. Can you tell us how you would treat each ward? And if you have any priorities? It's actually two questions, I'm sorry.
That's right. I'll answer two of them. I guess my first priority, again, not being or being new to this position, I'm not really sure what's going to be totally involved as far as representing other parts of the municipality other than Ward 2. My impression is I'm the counselor for Ward 2, so that would be my priority. If there's issues involving the other wards, I mean, to get involved and try and find the solutions, that would be the natural thing to do.
Counselor Oak?
Thank you. Explain your understanding of the role of a council member in promoting economic development.
Again, the viability of the municipality is probably our number one priority. And it would be very important for us to make sure that we maintain that financial viability, however best we can. Again, being new to this position and not having that experience and having that information leaves me in a position where my answer is going to be a little bit thin at this time.
Mayor Finch?
Thank you. So Jerry, if appointed, what would your goals be? Your top 2 or 3 goals during the next 3 years? Like what projects would you like to see achieved, and explain how you would achieve them?
From a municipality point of view, again, I find that question a little bit difficult to answer only because I don't know the insides of some of the issues that we're dealing with. I know the issues on the surface, but I don't have the real details to come up with a secure game plan.
If I can help you a little bit to clarify, if that's permissible, Madam Clerk. I'm talking more, you mentioned and touched on fire department, recreation and economic priorities. Can you just kind of elaborate on what your priorities would be in relation to those?
Well, anytime you have a department like the fire department, we recognize that it's very difficult for people to, or for the managers of that department to get people to enlist their services. It takes a long time to train somebody to be an efficient firefighter. And therefore, it's very important, I think, for us to make sure that we have the equipment and we have the facilities to encourage those guys to become volunteer firefighters, and then also make sure that we do a really good job in retaining those firefighters. Training a new firefighter is not a cheap thing to do, as you know. When it comes to homelessness and the those issues associated with that, with regards to the community safety and well-being plan, I think it's going to take a lot of work by a lot of people to solve those issues within our municipality. I happened to see something where there's a conference held in Halifax today, and they were addressing the homeless situation. And the chairman of that organization came out and said, we see an end to this problem, but not in the distant.
You have 30 seconds.
In the near future.
Are there any other questions for candidate Elmquist? Not seeing any. Thank you very much. You can take a seat up front
Thank you
there.
very much.
Candidate Diane Faubert is in attendance. Her personal statement of qualification is included in the agenda package, and her name is included on the ballot for council consideration. Candidate Faubert, you will be provided 5 minutes to address council with an oral statement. You will be notified when you are at the 4-minute mark. Following your oral statement, each council member is provided the opportunity to ask you 2 questions. You will be provided 2 minutes to respond to each question, and you will be notified when you have 30 seconds left to conclude your response to each question. Your time begins now.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, councilors, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Diane Faubert. I was on council during the previous term. I ran for council 5 years ago because I was thinking, what can I do for Ward 1? Not long into that term, I decided, no, it's not what I want to do or what can I do for municipality of South Huron Ward 1. What can I do for the entire municipality? I found my interest broadened and it just included everything. I found everything extremely interesting. I went out on a few walkouts with people or meetings out on the fields, and it was quite interesting. Like, everything is interesting. Sorry, I'm not feeling good today. I got a cold over the weekend, so I'm really struggling. Anyway, when the opportunity came up to put my name in again for council, I pretty much jumped right on it. I would like to be a part of this team. This team has provided or accomplished so many excellent things over the years that, yes, I just want to be part of that again. I would like to, I can't say that I'm going to always agree with everything that's put on the table, but even if we don't agree with each other, we always seem to work together as a team, and that's the team that I want to be part of. I'm going to just call it a close right there. Ward 2. Yes, I would like to be a part of the councillor for Ward 2 because I can see many things, so many projects that are going on there, and I would like to be a part of that. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions for candidate Faubert? Councillor Vaughn?
Welcome, Diane.
Thank you.
Okay, can you describe for us what preparation you have done for this term's position of councillor?
I have been attending the meetings since I heard the position was open. I've been trying to read up on different items that are on the table, and that's about it. What can I say?
Thank you.
Councillor Oak?
Thank you. Thank you, Diane. What 3 steps would you take to put our municipality on a firmer financial footing, knowing there are significant asset management commitments that need to be made?
Well, I think I would, with the team, review what is on the table. Review it financially, review it whether it's a need or a want, and just see whether it's a requirement. Not everything that people want is a need. So.
Mayor Finch?
Thank you and welcome, Diane.
Thank you.
My question to you is this. The South Huron Fire Master Plan identifies that the Dashwood Fire Station is no longer suitable for use as a fire station and is now outdated, and that a new fire hall is recommended to be built in Dashwood to replace the outdated one. What is your position on a new fire hall, since the recommendation is that the new fire hall should be in Dashwood rather than Crediton or elsewhere? Would you support it to be built in Dashwood as recommended by the Master Fire Plan? Please explain.
First time I heard that, I thought, well, Crediton has a nice big field just outside, just west of Crediton that could be used to create a fire hall. But upon thinking about it more, I'm in favor of it being in Dashwood. You have all of your firefighters, there are a number of them that are from there, are close at hand. So there's no sense in making them travel further to respond to a fire. That's just gonna end up in disaster one way or the other for the person whose property has got the fire on it. So I'm in favor of it. It's a good location that you've decided to put it in. So yes.
Counselor Need,
Attendance at meetings and contributions during meetings are incredibly important in order to both represent our constituents and represent our municipality. As a councillor, much of your time will be spent reading reports, speaking with constituents, and keeping track of provincial legislation, which dictates how the municipality is run. Are you able to commit to multiple meetings, regular reading of reports, and collaborating with other members of council and staff in order to move the municipality forward? How so?
Yes, I am committed to reading reports, adding to the program, checking things out with the constituents, and just being a part of that decision. I think it's very important to research whatever is going on. So reading the recommended reports and finding out about different things, yes, I'm quite committed to do that.
Deputy Mayor Dietrich.
Thank you and welcome, Dan.
Thank you.
I know hasn't been very long since you sat around this table.
Mhm.
Just wondered, do you have any priorities moving forward if you're elected?
No, 5 years ago, I had priorities for Ward 1, but now I am just simply committed to Exeter or the municipality of South Huron to move forward on different projects that we have going. But no, I don't have any personal projects that I need brought on the table and resolved.
Thank you.
Counselor Oak.
Thank you. Explain your understanding of the role of a council member in promoting economic development.
Well, I think the economic development, you have to keep in mind when you're promoting any kind of a project, you have to keep in mind how deep the pockets are for the people that you're representing. You can't dig deep and then say, okay, just pay for it. You have to keep that in mind all the time. I believe in economic development, but I also believe in not putting the people in financial jeopardy, trying to achieve that goal.
Counselor Need.
In 2018, the Fred Dean report was released to the public, listing recommendations mandating, quote, code of conduct training, bullying and harassment training for members, and quote, that closed meetings for the purpose of personal attacks or purpose of attacks, on other members be eliminated. The Municipal Act is clear about the relationship between council members and staff. And could you please summarize how these relationships work?
Well, I think it's just simply being respectful to your fellow council. That's the majority of it right there, being respectful. Not everybody agrees on every topic, but you respect what the other person believes. It's not necessarily yours, but you respect it.
Mayor Finch.
Thank you. Diane, during the last term of council, 2018 to 2022, and because of information from the leisure plan and YMCA studies from the term before, from 2014 to 2018, it was identified that a gymnasium and walking track were items of interest for South Huron residents to fill the large gaps of recreational opportunities for residents across South Huron. In fact, an application under the ICIF funding was applied for in 2019 for recreation, which included these and other items such as a single pad arena. Would you support a plan to pursue an open style gymnasium for court sports, etc.? That's not a gym with exercise equipment, but an open style gymnasium and a walking track for South Huron? And if so, please explain. And if so, how would you propose it be funded?
Yes, I would support a walking track and a gymnasium and everything. People nowadays, they need that exercise. They need to keep physically active in order to stay healthy. And if you don't have items like that here, they're going to go somewhere else and spend their money. I think that if you have those items here, the walking track and everything, that just keeps our seniors healthier for longer. So yes, as far as financing it goes, I'm in favor of supporting it through the municipality, through the council, as well as fundraising for the people. I think if the people want it bad enough, then they can do some fundraising towards it. It's not all on the municipality to fund a walking track and a gymnasium and everything else.
Are there any other questions for candidate Faubert? Not seeing any. Thank you very much, candidate Faubert. You're welcome to take a seat.
Thank you very much.
Candidate Wendy McLeod-Haggett is in attendance. Her personal statement of qualification is included in the agenda package, and her name is included on the ballot for council consideration. Okay. Candidate McLeod-Haggett, you will be provided 5 minutes to address council with an oral statement. You'll be notified when you are at the 4-minute mark. Following your oral statement, each council member is provided the opportunity to ask you 2 questions. You will be provided 2 minutes to respond to each question, and you will be notified when you have 30 seconds left to conclude your response to each question. Your time starts now.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I wrote my speech so many times over the last 2 weeks, trying to determine what is the most important to me. Then after talking with some members of the community, they reminded me of a few things and told me not to lose who I am in the process while doing and going after what I want. When I asked the question, what is it that you think I can offer sitting around the council table, it was clear. We need a more diverse table to allow for a more diverse conversation. Another female representative sitting at the table would be a positive turn. Currently, we have 5 males and 1 female. In 2023, this is not right. We as a community need to do better, and I put it to the current council to do better and take the steps needed to add another female council member to the table and to make it a more round and diverse council. I'm a very strong individual who is not afraid of doing what needs to get done and follow my passion. I am someone to look up to, a mentor to others, and I am very optimistic, a go-getter and a fear tackler. And most of all, unafraid to stand up for what I believe in and unbothered by what others say or think, as long as I'm staying true to myself. We also need a younger individual sitting at the table so that we are able to connect with all demographics within South Huron. The younger demographic needs to be represented. During my campaign in 2022, one thing that I did emphasize was that we need to work together to pull all wards together so that we don't feel divided. This is a way of working for the better of the municipality as a whole. I'm a team player who works with others and helps them work through their problems to come to an amicable solution. Most importantly, I am someone without attachments to previous council decisions and who can be seen as a fresh voice. Not to mention, I am someone that works and volunteers in a sector that nobody else around the table is part of. I feel like I can bring a lot to the table and provide a new, fresh voice. Looking at the individuals who represented themselves and presented tonight, Ms. Cole, who was not present tonight, Mr. DeLuca, who was a previous council member who did 2 terms and did not get reelected when he ran previously, Ms. Foubert, who did 1 term and did not get reelected, but I might mention that she came in behind me in the last election, Mr. Elmhurst, who did not run in the previous election. Then you have myself, who has continued to show passion and commitment to our community. 5 years ago, I joined Street to Feet, which led to me joining the Perth Huron United Way Committee, and most recently, I joined the United Way Funding and Allocation Committee. I have also worked closely with pulling together the Connection Center, the Angel Project, and many other projects within our community to help many vulnerable families and individuals within South Huron. I strive to always be better and give a helping hand where and when needed. When facing experience asymmetry, keep in mind that it's largely about respect, just as I want the members of our community to know they can trust me. I also want them to know that I appreciate their voice. It is important to listen more than you speak. Ask lots of questions and let the current council know that I am here to learn from them. The more I show that you trust me, the more you will see that I am here to be a delivered value around the table. One of my quotes that I say a lot to myself is from Michelle Obama is don't let anyone speak for you and don't rely on others to fight for you. Thank you.
Are there any questions from members of council for candidate McLeod-Haggett? Councillor Vaughn?
Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. My question is, can you describe for us what preparation you have done for this term's position of councillor?
So prior to the previous election and even since the election, I have continued to either attend the meetings in person and or watch them online. I review the minutes, the agendas, and keep track of what is going on through that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Councillor Oak?
Thank you, Wendy. What 3 steps would you take to put our municipality on a firmer financial footing, knowing there are significant asset management commitments that need to be made?
One thing that I said through my campaign is that we definitely need to look at all of the assets throughout the municipality and see what assets are still needed and what are not, and where we can maybe narrow down or divide within communities to make them more efficient. The next would be to look at the overall budget and see where and what cuts. I know cuts are always a bad thing and nobody as a taxpayer wants to hear that we have to make cuts, but in today's financial situation, there are cuts that need to be made and there are reserves that need to be looked at, and are they being allocated in the proper manner throughout our municipality that affects and benefits all of our taxpayers. And the third, just how we can bring our municipality together as a whole. You know, there's the old Stephen Township that needs to be connected to Exeter, and there's all these different divides through our community, and I think it's very important to figure out how we can merge the 3 wards together to make them feel like they're one ward and not divided.
Councillor Need?
Attendance at meetings and contributions during meetings are incredibly important in order to both represent our constituents and represent our municipality. As a councillor, Much of your time will be spent reading reports, speaking with constituents, and keeping track of provincial legislation, which dictates how the municipality is run. Are you able to commit to multiple meetings, regular reading of reports, and collaborating with other members of council and staff in order to move the municipality forward? How so?
So as I said in my letter that I submitted, I have a great work-life balance. I have a 4-day work week. Mondays currently are my days off, so I would have Saturday, Sunday, and Monday to review the minutes, the reports, go over things. In my job, what I do now is I help people manage and mediate to find solutions on their financial aspects for family, for equalizations, and where we can play with numbers to balance it out so that everybody at the end of the day is potentially a winner. Did that answer everything? I feel like I'm missing something. And I'm a team player. If I have questions, I have no problem asking for help or direction where I need it.
Thank you.
Mayor Finch.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome, Wendy. This question for you is Bill 23 has changed things in the way the municipal government operates. Can you explain to the residents of South Huron what you would do if faced with either a conflict of interest or a pecuniary interest under Section 3 of the Code of Conduct, such as in relation to a pending or ongoing housing or commercial development that would impact your residents personally, and provide details on how you would deal with something like this, both in your interactions with members of council, the media, including social media, and with members of the public? Please explain.
So being part of the United Way, I have to remove myself from some of the discussions that they're having, given different parts of events and charities that I am part of. I don't feel that it would be any different here. If there was a conflict of interest, I would remove myself. And if there were constituents that had an issue with that and asking me, I would basically show them the bill and say, this is what I have to do. This is where I've been guided. I have to follow the policies. And I would have no problem removing myself where I needed to be. I may have private conversations with the council as a whole to let them know my feelings or thoughts on it, but I would have no problem removing myself where I needed to be.
Deputy Mayor Dietrich.
Hi. Good to see you.
You too.
Attainable and affordable housing and homelessness. It's we all know it's huge and there's no one way of solving the problem. Do you have any ideas to help solve the problems? I know you can't do it alone, but
if I had millions of dollars to build a complex, I would put the shovel to dirt and make it happen. Housing is a huge problem in our community and surrounding. Working with the United Way, we are trying to find out different ways where we can propose different builds. I know that it's not something that can happen overnight. There's so many levels of government that it has to go through. It's a hard one. There's no quick fix. There's no Band-Aid that can help in the interim. It's a long-term plan that is going to be stretched over many years to make anything happen.
thank you.
Councillor Need.
In 2018, the Fred Dean report was released to the public, listing recommendations mandating, quote, code of conduct training, bullying and harassment training for members, and quote, that closed meetings for the purpose of attacks on other members be eliminated. The Municipal Act is clear about the relationship between council members and staff. And could you please summarize how these relationships work?
When we're in closed meetings, it's a closed meeting. It stays private. It's confidential. It's not something once I leave the room that I would converse with others outside of the room with. Again, in my job, I work in a lawyer's office. Confidentiality is a huge factor. When I'm out in the community and individuals are asking me, hey, did you hear I remove myself. I don't engage in the conversation. Confidentiality is not a problem on my part. In my job, I've never breached confidentiality, so I don't see that it would be a problem for myself going forward.
Counselor Oak?
Thank you. Explain your understanding of the role of a council member in promoting economic development.
Sorry, I'm really dry mouth right now. Sorry. Sorry, can you repeat the question? Sorry, Todd.
Explain your understanding of the role of a council member in promoting economic development.
So if I'm correct in saying we have to make all of our constituents aware of the value of things that we have within our municipality, the funding that comes in, where the funding comes from, and how it has to be allocated within the community.
Deputy Mayor Dietrich?
Moving forward, if elected, do you have any priorities set for yourself or this council? Thank you.
If I was elected, I think what I want is I want to make sure that our constituents have a voice around the table and that what they are wanting to voice, that it is voiced in here. I want to, again, bring our municipality together as a whole, not have the divisions within the municipality. I want to show people that I am a voice here for them, and I'm not someone that is just going to sit back and do nothing. I want to be a voice. I want them to know that if they have something to say, that I am sitting in a spot that I am able to put their concerns forward. Whether I can fix it, I don't know. Until that happens, I don't know. But I would hope that the people that are sitting around me would listen and hear what is being said and see if we can try to fix and help and maneuver whatever the issues are within our municipality.
Mayor Finch?
Thank you. The South Huron Fire Master Plan identifies that the Dashwood Fire Station is no longer suitable for use as a fire station as it is now outdated, and that a new fire hall is recommended to be built in Dashwood to replace the outdated one. What is your position on a new fire hall, since the recommendation is that the new fire hall should be in Dashwood rather than in Crediton or elsewhere? Would you support it to be built in Dashwood as recommended by the Master Fire Plan? And please explain.
So I'll be honest. At first, I did not agree with it. I did not think that it was a great plan, given the industrial industry that is in Huron Park, the boundaries within our municipality with the different fire departments. But I've done my homework. I've talked to different firemen and firewomen, and I've talked to individuals in the different departments, and I've got a better understanding of the boundaries and the lines of where the fire trucks are going and how the whole operation as a whole is working. So I support the Dashwood location. I didn't think I would ever come to that and be able to actually vocally say that I support the Dashwood location. But after speaking with many members that are on the fire departments, I understand the positioning of where it is and would support it.
Thank you.
Counselor Dietrich?
Thanks, Lynn. And how do you propose to pay for that new fire hall in Dashwood?
Well, if I had a magic penny, I'd flip that bean up there, Milton, and pull some money out. I know it's going to take significant funding from the government, from the municipality. To be honest, I haven't looked at the numbers. I'm still learning how to look at the budgets and read and understand. So while I say I support the fire hall, I also need to see the numbers and how it's getting. I support the location of where it would go. The funding part is where I'm still wrapping my head around on where the monies are coming from to support that build.
Are there any other questions for candidate McLeod Higgett? Not seeing any. Thank you very much. You're welcome to take a seat.
Thank you.
Upon hearing all submissions of the candidates, council will proceed to vote as follows. Candidate names will be displayed on the monitor in alphabetical order in the council chambers on these monitors here. Each member of council will be provided a ballot with their name on it, listing all candidates in alphabetical order, a sample of which will show up on the monitor shortly. Each member of council will cast their vote on a ballot and sign their name. Members of council will cast a vote for one candidate only. Council members will place their ballots in a container and the clerk will randomly draw the completed ballots. When a ballot is drawn, the clerk will publicly announce the name of the member of council whose vote it is and announce the candidate in which they voted for. Should the ballot be spoiled or incomplete, the clerk will publicly announce and the ballot will be rejected. The clerk will tabulate and announce the results, and the results will be displayed on the monitors in council chambers. Should a candidate receiving the greatest number of votes cast not receive more than 1/2 of the votes of all voting members, so 4 votes, there will be a further round of voting in accordance with the clerk's procedure for filling council vacancy. For further rounds of voting, the candidates who received the fewest number of votes in the previous round will be excluded from further consideration. 1 vote shall be the lowest number of votes possible. Any candidates that receive 0 votes are automatically excluded on the ballot in the next round of voting. In the event that following a round of voting, the candidate with the greatest number of votes does not receive more than 1/2 of the votes, and there are a tie between all remaining candidates, a further vote will occur to determine which candidates move on to the next round of voting with the original candidate who received the most votes. Should there be a further tie, the candidate that moves on to the next round of voting, the individuals will be dealt with by determining by lot. So the candidates' names will be placed in a container and be drawn one at a time by the clerk. In the event of a tie between candidates, a further vote will occur to break the tie. And should the tie remain following the vote, any candidates' names will be selected by lot to determine who moves on to the next round of voting or to determine the successful candidate. I will go through each procedure as it arises if multiple rounds of voting are required. I would ask that staff please distribute the ballots to council members. So once all council members have received their ballot, I would ask that you please review the ballot and confirm that your name is listed on the top right-hand corner of the ballot and that the names of the candidates as outlined on the monitor are listed. Can you, yeah. So if everyone is good, you're able to proceed to vote. Please indicate beside which candidate you are voting for, and please sign the bottom of the ballot once you have selected your candidate. I would ask staff to please collect the ballots, and council, please place your ballot in the box as staff comes around. Deputy Mayor Jim Dietrich has voted for candidate Wendy McLeod Higgett. Mayor George Finch has voted for candidate Diane Faubert. Councillor Aaron Neeb has voted for Jerry Dale Elmquist, candidate Elmquist. Councillor Oak has voted for candidate Wendy McLeod Higgett. Councillor Milt Dietrich has voted for candidate Wendy McLeod Higgett. Councillor Marissa Vaughn has voted for candidate Wendy McLeod Higgett. Following the results of that round of voting, candidate Maureen Cole received 0 votes. Candidate Wayne DeLuca received 0 votes. Candidate Jerry Dale Elmquist received 1 vote. Candidate Diane Faubert received 1 vote, and candidate Wendy McLeod Higgett received 4 votes. Following 1 round of voting, I confirm that the candidate receiving the votes of more than 1/2 of the number of voting members of council to be candidate Wendy McLeod Higgett. We can proceed to the next item on the agenda.
Thank you. Please read the recommendation. Oh, sorry. Yeah, please read the recommendation, please.
As per the clerk's procedure to fill council vacancy, council will confirm the appointment of the candidate to fill the seat. The recommendation that South Huron Council appoint Wendy McLeod Higgett to fill the office vacancy of councillor for Ward 2 for the remainder of the 2022 to 2026 council term in accordance with sections 263 subsection 1 and 263 subsection 5 of the Municipal Act 2001. Can I have a mover? Deputy Mayor Dietrich, and seconded by Councillor Dietrich. All in favor? And that carries with 6. In accordance with the clerk's procedure to fill council vacancy, the clerk will administer the declaration of oath required under subsection 232 subsection 1 of the Municipal Act at the next council meeting.
Thank you.
The recommendation would be that South Huron Council hereby adjourns at 7:31 PM to meet again on November 20th, 2023 at 6 PM or at the call of the chair. Can I get a mover? Deputy Mayor Dietrich, seconded by Councillor Neeb. All in favor? And that carries with 6.
And thank you everyone for attending this evening and have a good night.